Hi, this is Anders from A Well-Tempered Hacker. I just wanted to make a quick video because my super micro build video generated a whole bunch of questions specifically about my use of software RAID and why I don't use hardware RAID. You heard me talking about a RAID key that a license key I didn't want to buy. First of all, hardware RAID is fine. It's going to be the fastest solution out there, but it's important to remember that there are drawbacks. You can think of a couple of reasons to go for RAID, and that would be, you get speed, you get some security if a drive fails, and you have the ability to have a bigger file system than any one hard drive in your computer can give you. So those are kind of the prevailing reasons for RAID. They're great, but every time you add a disk to a computer, the likelihood that a drive fail will happen increases. It just increases with every drive you put in there. So the various RAID levels have been created to allow spare disks that automatically come online when a drive failure is sensed and that sort of thing. But in order to keep your data safe, you have to be able to recover the RAID. And generally, my problem with hardware RAID is that if your RAID card fails, you have to go get a new one. But not just any new one, you have to get exactly the same one you had, which may or may not be available. If that happens once, there's a solid chance it's going to happen again, and then again you have to get exactly the right hardware and the cycle continues. I say this from experience. I had a machine that hardware RAID died, and I ended up buying a new card, and it got the thing back up and going, but then I also bought a second card, and it was very expensive at the time, and I paid for this. So you contrast that situation with software RAID. You take a little bit of a performance hit, but you can mix and match the hardware, pretty much to your heart's content. If something is prone to break, you just start using other technology. Not only that, but if your entire computer dies and all you're left with are the drives, you can put them in any other computer and get your data back using publicly available, RAID source from any Linux machine. So it gives you a pretty flexible situation. So it's a question really of using exactly the right static hardware that you buy for a specific configuration, or the nearly limitless flexibility the RAID gives you. And really the only cost, the impact, is so small in terms of speed that you can barely measure it. So I personally, for me, it doesn't make sense. But there is one more thing. So RAID made sense in a world where computers were much more expensive than they are today. As computers have become more and more commoditized, many computers are taking the place of the single monolithic computer. These larger systems are being designed across multiple computers with failure as the norm, as the design principle. So in turn, file systems are spanning these multiple computers instead of multiple disks within one computer. So that fault-tolerant file system within a computer is less of a priority. Practical implementation of this would be the cloud. You hear about this all the time. So other than the old school file server in the closet that hasn't been transferred to the cloud or hasn't been migrated, everybody's still kind of just using it. That's a reason for RAID. That's a good place to have a RAID. But pretty much RAID is going by the wayside because of distributed file systems and this sort of thing. So I just wanted to make that point.